Let us pray. Holy God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be pleasing and acceptable to you, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
That's a bit of a weird well-wishing, right, as we begin December, right? But we also begin the season of Advent, a time of waiting and patience, which starts the Christian calendar. It is the new year of our Christian life together. Right? And we start this new year as the days diminish and the shadows grow long. By the time we reach December 21, it seems like the sun will melt away and maybe never come back again, right? In darkness, we begin. In darkness, we discover Advent waiting and patience, as well as this word from the Lord. The days are surely coming when I will fulfill my promises. I have a love-hate relationship with Advent. Right? I love that our faith acknowledges the darkness. I love that Advent speaks the truth that we can't get to grace and gratitude without first stating our guilt, without acknowledging the terrible realities in this life. I love that Advent will not let us play the games of avoidance or escapism, as if God is the God of Star Trek. Beam us up out of trouble. No, God is the God who walks with us through it. But I hate Advent too. I hate that it draws us into waiting in the darkness and not knowing. I hate that I can't be in control. Kind of hate Advent too. We all have these Advent moments in our lives. The times when we make it through difficulty and the times when we're required to wait. A few weeks ago, I met one of you in the park as I was walking to get my hair cut. And you shared with me, Pastor, the doctor told me that they found a tumor. And then you said, I can't get the test to know what it means until next week. And then I have to wait until the results come. Is it malignant or benign? Is it aggressive or growing slowly? This Advent moment draws us into the darkness of waiting as our imaginations play with our heartstrings. Then last week, Sunday, I sat down in fellowship with another one of you. And you shared with me, Pastor, we finally got an answer to this struggle that we've been wrestling with in our family. And I could see the load that was lifted off from your shoulders. It was not an easy answer. In fact, it meant probably a time of testing with medication and getting through a whole new reality to life, but it was an answer. It was light in the darkness. It was experiencing the promises of the Lord come true for you, for surely the day had come, and you experienced hope, peace, joy, and love. You experienced these things even while there was still work to be done, still hardships to get through, still decisions to make. But you received it nonetheless. It seems to me that these examples in our community show forth the reality of what Advent is all about. the waiting and the promises. And one helps us get through the other. Advent and the waiting helps us get through the promises, and the promises helps us get through the waiting. Here's what I mean by that. In one, we receive word that there's a Mass. And we don't know what it is, and we have to wait. But we know that we're going to walk through it. We're going to go through it. And as we do, as we learn and discover more, we also discover our capacity in gratitude to give thanks for the small things grows. As we get through it, we notice the sunsets in its beauty, the delicious lunch we shared with a friend, the calm of a rainy afternoon, and the joys of when we have a diagnosis for the problem. In gratitude, we discover these gifts as we make our way through. Whether they're small or large, mundane or majestic, these gifts then help us get through the next Advent moments, the next time when we're thrust into darkness. And one helps us get through the other, building on each other as we make our way through Advent waiting and the promises of God in our life. Our first Advent gift that we're looking at this morning is hope. God says to the people through the prophet Jeremiah, "Surely the days are coming, says the Lord, when I will fulfill the promises made to the house of Israel and the house of Judah." And in those words, God gives his people hope. Jesus says to us, his disciples, offering us hope, "Then you will see the Son of God coming in the clouds, and with power and great glory." And when these things begin to take place, stand up, raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. And we find great hope in those words of Jesus. Because I've taught you before, right? Fear and shame causes us to hang our heads. We don't want to look up. But hope lifts our heads, raises our heads, not into the clouds, not as if a pie in the sky thing will save us, but lifts our heads to look at life, to look at where redemption is all around us. Hope causes us to stand and look, to see where redemption is drawing near in our lives. Both of these verses offer these wonderful visions of hope, these wonderful ideas of how God and Jesus are sharing messages of hope with us. And yet, I cannot help feeling this itchy question in the back of my mind. What is hope? You see, I wonder in our own culture where we hold forth this value and vision of happiness and optimism, I wonder if our vision has become blurred and we can't quite see what true hope is. The values and visions of optimism or happiness bombard us with all kinds of messages telling us that there's really only one response to whatever comes to our lives. So we might sing that response. We might say a mantra, "Don't worry, be happy." No matter what comes to life, that's our mantra. Don't worry, be happy. Or we might say to each other, every cloud has a silver lining. Or we might offer another statement, which is, the glass is always half full. These statements of happiness and optimism for every part of life. Or, without noticing the irony, we might sing along with Monty Python as we say, always look on the bright side of life. Yeah, you know the song, right? It says we don't even get the irony of it, right? But we say it to each other because this value and vision of optimism and happiness surrounds us, and it flattens our emotional response to anything and everything that happens to us. Always be happy. Advent, on the other hand, frees us from the tyranny and illusion of happiness. Advent frees us from the tyranny and illusion of happiness and instead offers us hope. What is hope? Hope is work. Hope is the recognition that work is coming. Hope is acknowledging that we will be asked to do something. Hope does not allow us to say that the glass is always half full. Hope teaches us that the glass is always refillable. And we are called to work to fill the glass up. We are called to open our hearts and see what the journalist Anna Marie Cox says about hope. She says, I don't have everything that I need and want. Let me get it right. Everything I need and want is what I have. Everything I have is what I need and want to do the work that hope has given to me. Everything I need and everything I have is what I need and want to do the work that hope has given me. Jesus says to us, stand up, raise your heads. It's the act of one who knows they're looking for the work that Jesus has prepared for us. Looking for the kingdom that is drawing near and the work of the kingdom that we are called to participate in. That is hope. Jeremiah says that the righteous branch that is coming will be called the Lord is our righteousness. And the hope there is that the Lord has done everything we need in that righteousness. So the work we're called to in hope is to live into that righteousness, to live out that righteousness in our lives, living it out so that we might fill the empty glasses, fill the empty bellies, fill the empty hearts, and call the world to hope again, for there is work to be done. The ethicist and author Lewis Smedes, in his book Standing on the Promises, says it this way. He says, hoping for others is hard, but it's not the hardest. Praying for others is hard, but it's not the hardest. The hardest part for the people who believe in the second coming of Jesus Christ, in other words, who hope and look for the work that brings, the hardest part for the people who believe in the second coming of Jesus Christ is to live their lives in such a way that people say, that is what it's going to look like when people live as if righteousness, that is what it will look like when righteousness takes over our world. That is how people will live when righteousness takes over our world. Hope calls us to the work of living out that righteousness, of raising our heads and looking for where the kingdom is drawing near, for where hope and peace and joy and love are offered up to us in the promises in these Advent moments of darkness. May you have the faith to acknowledge the dark and terrible realities in your life. May you learn together with all of us as we make our way through this season of Advent darkness. May you let this journey set you free from the tyranny of happiness and instead give you hope. For help gives us work in the promises that surely the day is coming. Surely the day is coming where we will be called in our gospel imagination to do the work that hope has prepared for us today. Hope is work. It's recognizing that Christ has redeemed us in his righteousness. And kingdom work is coming. Kingdom work is here. Stand up, people of God. Raise your heads because your redemption is drawing near. Hope is that work of recognizing that redemption. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, amen. Amen. Let us pray. Holy God, we give you thanks that you offer us so much more than simple optimism. That you allow us and give us permission and bless us when we can respond to life with the full reality of what we feel, what our questions are, who we are in your presence. We give you thanks that you are our righteousness, that our redemption in you is drawing near, and it gives us hope. And hope has work for us to do. Hear our prayer, O Lord, and feed our faith. Encourage us, draw us into Christ, that we may know his love and we may meet him in the work that he has given us. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Beloved,